Hello, ladies and gentlemen, dude and dudettes. I am Matt Burns, and with me...
That must mean I am John Bloor.
However, you might notice that our third co-host hasn't jumped in with his many voices. But if you were here last week, you would know, unfortunately, Irvine could not be here tonight due to being, unfortunately, busy due to work schedules.
Yeah, James Irvine is not here. However, myself and Matt Burns, we are. So this is The Burning Truth. Hi, welcome.
Pretty much. And let's just say it was a nice... Last week was a nice way to break into the year. Although, even though last week, I was having not one of the best weeks.
Yeah, and then this week, we've both had, for entirely different reasons, far from the best weeks. But, hey, that's kind of, that's kind of what this is for us. It's like a release, a way to... relax and unwind and talk about something we enjoy. So
which is
let's
wrestling.
Put aside the fact that we've both had pretty abysmal weeks and just talk about wrestling.
Well, abysmal starts, but at least with me own, mine's actually got a lot better. But before we continue on,
I think the best thing to describe mine would be expensive, but I don't want to go into any more detail, so...
Mine was just dragging on, but we'll get on to that shortly after, because I need you to do your usual thing,
yes.
please, JB.
The following broadcast will contain discussions on professional wrestling and other topics, which may contain language not suitable for minors, those of a nervous disposition, and potentially other listeners. This broadcast may also contain strobe lighting effects.
Couldn't have said it better. But anyway... Before we continue on to our usual subjects, let's just continue to our usual thing that we always cover on The Burning Truth, which is that The Burning Truth fully supports Black Lives Matter and, of course, hashtag speaking out.
Yep, continues to do so because, hell, there are things which aren't going away and which need to be continually reminded of people until the world is a better place and we don't need to anymore. But that isn't going to happen anytime soon, sadly.
Pretty much. Now, anyway, the scary thing about it is we're always in full support. The same usual terms and conditions that we've stated previously do still apply, but we're not going to, repeat ourselves repeatedly all the time and, sound like we're like a boring record.
Yeah, essentially, you know the deal by now. We don't need to say it again, but the conditions still stand.
Yes, pretty much. But anyway, before we actually get on to the main subjects, let me just cover the reason why, for myself, I haven't had the best start of the year.
I see. Okay, yeah.
In case anybody may or may not have read the blog, which, if you haven't, why not?
Yeah, come on, what's wrong with you? It's like a 2-minute read, and it'll probably make you smile, and that's the point. And let's face it, we all need a bit of a smile at the moment.
Exactly, especially as this week was actually Irvine's week. And yep. I will say, it's very, very interesting, the topic that was for this week. I believe it was called Make Me a Superstar. But anyway, in case if you're wondering in regards to that, we may be touching on that subject a little bit later.
Yeah, if you would like to, read the blog post, we recommend you do it after we've finished, obviously, but it's going to be up for the rest of time, so there's no rush, but it's at theburningtruthuk.com, which is the website, and like I said, we'll mention that at the end, and we'll mention the relevance of the blog post towards the end as well, but that's a good way to, tease forward, like they do on Raw. It's like, keep listening, because this will happen later.
Pretty much. But anyway, the major reason why, if anybody has been reading the blog, they'll probably know from not from this week's blog, from last week's blog that I covered. Now, unfortunately, I ended up I'm surprised no one actually mentioned during last week. Well, it was mentioned briefly. I actually, unfortunately, had COVID-19.
Ouch.
Which I will say, not great. Don't like it, and bearing in mind...
Do not recommend.
And bearing in mind that, as certain people may know, I do have an underlying condition which could have been affected by it.
Yes, so it could have been considerably worse than it was, and you are, well, okay, you're not coronavirus, but you know what I mean. You are lucky given how much worse it potentially could have been.
Pretty much, because as most people know, I've actually been someone who's got type 2 diabetes. Okay, it's in remission, but we're not going to digress on it too much. I will just state, like it stated on the on my blog episode, I thank all the people who is in touch and keeping my mood generally upbeat and in a positive light, and generally I've got like a bit of a message in regards to that, but I'll be saving that for the end of the episode, which you'll probably know where that fits in.
I think we can work that out for ourselves, but it's something to look forward to nonetheless. Yeah, I'd just like to apologise that I've not exactly been as supportive as I potentially could have been, if only because I've had the mother of all crap weeks from a household point of view. I had a migraine, which killed the whole of the middle of the week.
Ouch.
If it had happened this weekend, I wouldn't have been on the broadcast, but luckily it was midweek. I just didn't get out of bed between Tuesday and Thursday.
Yeah.
And most of my house broke at one point or another over the last week.
You broke the house?
No, just the things in it, not the actual house.
How did you break it?
No, not the house itself, just the contents.
I'm just saying, how did you break the contents?
Meltdown.
What were you doing?
I wasn't doing anything. They are just old, and they all decided to break at the same time.
Ah, right.
Household appliances.
You had me hoping. You had me saying that thing to myself. You're not turning into Walter White, are you, from Breaking Bad?
I am not, and neither am I the redecoration crew, namely the wrestlers in a Falls Count Anywhere match in the ECW arena in the late 90s. I haven't been putting walls through with someone's face.
Not yet. But anyway.
It's just been the case of, white goods, household appliances, things that you have in the background and that you use every day or at least every week. They break sometimes, and a rash of mine all decided to break at the same time, and it's been very expensive and very annoying.
That's going to sting.
Not exactly what you'd call life-threatening, but annoying nonetheless.
Yeah, but anyway, point being is, we've been busy. I'm pretty sure that Irvine will probably be wanting to dip in and probably chime in with his many, probably throw in some of his gripes that he wanted to for the week. But from what I've gathered so far, we'll probably save that for next week when he does make his glorious return.
Oh yes, his glorious and fundamentally shambolic return.
And we'll probably have everyone going, "Oh yes!" Almost sound like Paul Bearer.
Oh right, I thought you were trying to do Herbert then. I was like, no, leave that to him.
No, I'm leaving that to him. No,
absolutely.
No. Hells no. I'm not even touching that subject.
Probably for the best.
Probably. But the point being is, we know he has fans, and yes, he will be back. So you'll all be going, "Oh yes!" And
indeed, you will.
But anyway, the point being is, let's get on to the show this week. It's not going to be the longest episode, but instead of doing our usual, let's figure out what's going on with the news today. There's plenty, we could throw out what's been, the dirt sheet information. We could throw out how certain people are hating on a certain person named Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
But frankly, we could do that any given week for any given reason. But there's nothing.
But then again, I think we did enough of that last week in the TBT Awards. In case if anyone was wanting to know what I'm referring to, check last week's episode.
Yeah, available now on most streaming platforms and at theburningtruthuk.com. But don't go and listen right now. Save it till after we've finished, eh? Cheers.
Pretty much. But anyway, we'll probably cover some of that information or what's been going on this week, because I will say, it's I don't want to be a bit of a downer week, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. We don't want to be too serious, because we want a light-hearted week, so...
Yeah, exactly. And
we're just going to discuss some stuff.
And the first topic that we are going to discuss, it involves something that may have happened recently, but it's something that WWE has been doing quite a lot. But then again, a lot of wrestling companies have been doing a lot lately, more so than usual. Which
it's something Sorry, go on.
No. I was just about to say it's something that JB brought up to my attention. He wanted to bring up. It's his topic, so please do the honors.
Yeah, it's something that a lot of wrestling companies have in light of the extended period with no or very limited fans in the arenas, but still with need of television or shows to produce, have gone down the route of, because of coronavirus, which in some ways is a blessing because it's opened up an avenue for doing more of this stuff in the future, even when, the arenas are full again, fingers crossed. And it's a good relief to just a wrestling show where it's just, hello, good evening, match, good night. Yeah. And I am talking, of course, about what I believe the technical term for which is cinematic matches.
Yep, pretty much.
You know, the kind of thing, like The Undertaker versus AJ Styles from WrestleMania last year.
Boneyard match.
The Boneyard match. Like pretty much anything involving broken Matt Hardy.
Yeah.
Like some of the more extreme elements of Bray Wyatt's character.
But
like a lot of the stuff that NXT did in and around Halloween.
Yes.
Yeah. And I just, it's a subject that was brought starkly back to my attention by, well, let's just say this is supposed to be a light-hearted discussion, but something which was anything but light-hearted.
What?
Which was the conclusion of TLC.
Ooh.
We know WWE is very quietly, very gently, like someone in an office chair who's trying to move away from an awkward conversation, but they're trying to make you think like they're not actually moving. So they're just rolling the wheels like a couple of millimeters at a time as they gradually try and ease away from you and ease out of the conversation. We know WWE is gradually moving away from TVPG.
Which is good.
Which is great, but oh boy, did we get a stark reminder of that as the closing moments of TLC.
I
wonder how many children are scarred for life as a result of that.
You think TLC's been the big issue?
Well, no, this is just the one that I've seen the most recently. I'm not saying it's the only one.
All I'm just going to say is the continuation of the after that situation has been probably a little bit more.
Has that been happening on SmackDown or Raw?
On Raw.
Yeah.
That
well, no, like I said, I don't actually get to watch Raw live since it moved from the satellite-based sports channel I have to the ones I don't.
Yeah.
See what I did there? No mentioning of names. But, yeah, I can understand that, as shocking as I thought the end of TLC was, if they've actually carried it on and possibly escalated it on the weekly TV as well, yeah, that's definitely a move away from TVPG. But in this instance, the question I have to ask is, while moving away from a TVPG rating, where do you draw the line? Because I happen to think that events on TLC crossed whatever imaginary line that WWE may have. And if you're saying it's worse on the TV, are the broadcasters okay with this?
It's not that it's worse. It's just that they're having little mistimings, mishaps that don't. It looks more like it's being shoehorned for a future cinematic match.
Oh, I see.
It just looks a bit shoehorned, if you got what I mean. But anyway,
like they're kind of gone, like belatedly, someone in your head office has gone, "Oh, this cinematic shit works. Let's do lots of it."
That's the issue I'm going to bring up with it. The fact of so far, when is it going to be too much, and does it have to be every match that the Fiend's been in lately? Should it be that? However, I do disagree with yourself with you saying that how the TLC cinematic match went.
The match itself,
I thought it was brilliant.
Absolutely fine. I had no objections to the match. It's simply the shall we call it the post match, the actual closing of the show after the distinct lack of a bell or any announcement to signify that it was the end, but after the end of the match. Yeah, that was the bit that was sort of a little bit Jesus.
Yeah, now would you believe me if I actually told you that was almost the first match?
Oh yeah, it was recorded before the rest of the show.
No. That match was almost the first. It was either going to be the opener, first half main event, or what it ended up being.
Oh dear God! Can you imagine if they tried to send the Hurt Business and the New Day on after that? Oh,
that would have been that. As much as a lot of people could say, "Oh, too much or anything," I think that was the highlight of the pay-per-view. I'm glad it was at the end of the show because it is a event highlighter.
Yeah, put it this way, it's one of those things. Yeah, I'm very glad I didn't have to watch or digest anything else while that sank in. So yeah, the end of the show was definitely the best place for it.
Yeah, definitely. Even though I do think that it just caught me by surprise that they didn't end with a championship match, but I was happy with the fact that
once they didn't,
match.
I understood why.
Yeah.
I may not necessarily have agreed with what they presented, but I understand why it went on last.
For me, I'm just looking forward to seeing when is... But anyway, we're digressing a little bit on this. I'm just looking forward to when Bray Wyatt actually is able to actually get his win in his cinematic matches.
Yeah.
Especially against Randy Orton, because so far, how many cinematic matches has he done against Randy Orton? And
was that the third or the fourth one?
I've lost count.
I don't think he's won one yet.
He hasn't. He hasn't won one against Orton.
Bray Wyatt is basically the modern day Mick Foley.
But the scary thing about it is...
What fundamentally insane but very creative way are we going to come up with for you to lose this time?
But do you know what I find even more insane?
What?
Is who he has beat in a cinematic match.
It's not that many people out of all the ones he's done.
I can name one of them that most would sit there and think, if he's beaten him, I'm pretty sure he should be able to beat Orton.
Yeah, would that be Braun Strowman by any chance?
Well, actually, bigger than Braun Strowman. And I don't mean in height. Does anybody remember the nickname that John Bradshaw Layfield used to call someone, the nickname that he used to always spurt out? Big Match John?
Oh, yeah.
Or did anybody forget about
WrestleMania last year, everyone, when you say cinematic matches, everyone immediately, like I did at the start of this particular topic, goes, Undertaker or AJ Styles. That wasn't the only cinematic match on the card. And the other one perhaps had more impact.
Yeah, which I will say, I absolutely loved it. However, Cena has made his recent appearance. Has finally made an appearance as part of an advert for WrestleMania.
Which, by the way, this year is not being held in the Performance Center, I've heard.
That is correct. And is not a one-day event.
Again, it's going to be 2 days.
Yes.
Is that so that they can have two separate days of fans because they're only allowed like 10,000, even though it's a 100,000 capacity venue?
No, they might be actually sticking with the 2-night event permanently. Which I actually think is better.
Well, to be honest, if it has now got to the stage where when you add in the 2-hour pre-show, the entire event is 7.5 hours, genuinely, an hour pre-show each night before a 3-hour pay-per-view over consecutive nights is far easier to watch, far easier to sit through, and I have no complaints with that. Yeah. It does mean that the NXT TakeOver WrestleMania show will have to move to the Friday, and it means you'll have to watch 3 shows in a weekend, but hey, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Exactly. When it's good wrestling, there's no such thing as too much. So I'm not complaining about that at all.
Yeah, I actually think it's brilliant what they're doing in regards to it. But anyway, the point being is I know that sounds like a bit of a bombshell that we just dropped on, but they've already announced the main titles for each pay-per-view. Now, last year, if I'm not mistaken, didn't we have the pirate theme as the WrestleMania thing?
It was supposed to be. Unfortunately, they didn't get to use it, but there was a massive pirate... Was it Raymond James Arena? Is that what it's called?
I believe it was.
As part of the set there was a, almost life-size pirate ship, which I don't know if WWE built for the occasion or if it's actually a fixture in the stadium, to be honest.
It might be built in because that pirate theme is coming back.
Well, yeah, because all of which means look out for one thing on WrestleMania, whichever night it happens.
Go on.
Because I've watched a documentary about him, and I remember him saying very vividly, nobody else is claiming it, I'm jumping off the pirate ship. So look out for whatever match Kevin Owens has this year, because if he actually gets to...
He will.
There's your WrestleMania moment right there.
Oh, bearing in mind, he jumped off part of the side off last year's WrestleMania onto Shane McMahon.
He jumped off the WrestleMania sign because it was the tallest thing in the Performance Center, but he originally had plans to actually jump off the pirate ship. So if he does that this year...
Cameras at the ready?
I feel sorry for whoever he lands on. That's all I'm saying.
Why not? But it should be entertaining regardless. It'll be entertaining. But it should it should be interesting
I have heard
to see.
They are allowed, I can't remember if it's 10 or 15,000 fans socially distanced around the 80, 90,000 capacity of venue.
Yeah, but at the moment, we are currently just waiting to see. But anyway, as for cinematic matches, I'm, straight away, if WWE gets given the time and don't overkill it with Bray Wyatt, and I hope after this Royal Rumble match, they bring it to a bit of a halt, temporarily.
Yeah.
For a little bit. Just let it build up, because if you keep doing it all the time, people aren't going to be buying into it all the time.
Well, I know what you're saying, yeah. It needs to be kind of like, how back in the day when you got 4 pay-per-views a year and they were special because it was like you got the Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam and Survivor Series. That was it.
Well,
it needs to be kind of a big pay-per-view rarity thing. Like, they either just bring it out at WrestleMania or just bring it out for Survivor Series or make it like the TLC pay-per-view. A TLC match only happens on that show unless it's very specific circumstances and none of the people that were in the pay-per-view match are in the one on the TV show or the other pay-per-view, so there's no crossover. And that's how I think they need to treat the cinematic matches, especially regarding Bray Wyatt. Like you said, too many is overkill and they lose their appeal. They need to pick and choose their moments a bit more precisely.
Yeah, and I would also say if you are going to have one cinematic match, then other matches shouldn't have anything cinematic involved in it, unless it's WrestleMania, of course. It's WrestleMania.
Well, it's the grandest stage of them all. It's the showcase of the Immortals. If that's the one time of the year when they can literally be like, right, blow the budget, everything cinematic. Let's see how mental we can make it. That's fine.
But I would recommend against that.
But if they do that, they need to be like, well, okay, maybe over the course of the other 11 months of the year, we can have
mega matches.
1, maybe 2 other cinematic matches, and only ever 1 per show at that, just so that it balances itself out. That's my take, anyway.
Although I do think that WrestleMania cinematic matches that they did last year, were my favourite 2 cinematic matches so far. Outright.
Dude, I think they were close to my favourite matches on that whole card.
No, they were on both nights, and the best thing about it is, and this is the scary thing, they actually had 2 cinematic matches at WrestleMania, but 1 on each night.
Yeah, that was
which is genius.
Yeah. That was genius because, like I say, it didn't overstimulate people. Yeah.
But anyway.
But yeah, I would absolutely love it if WrestleMania genuinely became a 2-night event.
Yep.
I think that's great.
Yeah, that's great.
Do you know what I'd also like them to do?
What?
In the spirit of expanding things a little bit.
Yep.
I would like them to expand because of the size of their roster and the genuine fact that they can. They did the experiment with that show in Saudi Arabia that time.
Well, they are still doing things in India. If I'm not mistaken.
But I think what they need to do is basically make the Royal Rumble the men's and women's Royal Rumble matches on that show, and that's it, and make them 50 people in each one. Because they've got the roster for it. Have it. It doesn't need title matches. It doesn't need traditional matches.
Yeah.
It just here's the women's Rumble. Right, okay, here's a little bit of a skit while they tidy up ringside. Okay, here's the men's Rumble. Put 50 people in each one, because with the amount of returnees they can have for special appearances, people already on Raw and SmackDown, NXT people they can give surprise debuts to, they've got the roster deep enough.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But we digress.
That could be... When they did the Greatest Royal Rumble, that was 50 men. That was fine. They did the largest Royal Rumble ever that He Who Shall Not Be Spoken Of won. That was 40 men. That I didn't notice any difference. It was just like, hey, this is my favourite match, and it's going on 10, 15, 20% longer. What's to complain about?
And the Royal Rumble is always a good match. But anyway, we'll digress on that. We'll save that for another week, because I'd say we've got another 2 weeks before the Royal Rumble. And I've got some interesting topics for that during that week, actually.
That's cool. But yeah, like I say, if they're going to expand... Oh, here's another thought, if they want to do it.
Go on.
Just to put this out here before we move on. In this realm of cinematic matches...
Yep.
How about 2-night Royal Rumble weekend?
No.
Men's night and women's night. Because that way they can have pre-matches before the big Rumble. Women on Saturday, men on Sunday.
No, because then...
Each show headlined by the 50-person Royal Rumble.
The problem that you've got with that is you've then got that pay-per-view to do. Then the following... that's a too big one. Then the following month is a one pay-per-view, and then straight into WrestleMania.
But no, I'm thinking what they need to do is go back to the good old days in order to build the feuds for WrestleMania and make them mean more. Basically... No Way Out / whatever they call the February show.
You mean Elimination Chamber?
Yeah. Throw it in the bin. Don't have a show between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania.
No, I don't. I disagree with you on that one, because then if we didn't have that, we wouldn't have had the magical event that ended up happening, which was a No Way Out pay-per-view involving Eddie Guerrero beating Brock Lesnar. For the
No, I'm not saying... Throw it out historically. It worked historically. It did well. I'm simply saying in the future, if you're going to increase the size of the Rumbles, make the Royal Rumble a 2-night event, and then, because of that, and like you're saying, because of overkill, the Royal Rumble happens at the end of January. WrestleMania is traditionally the end of March, the start of April. Don't have a February or March pay-per-view to give the show... the storylines for the grandest stage of them all time to build up in more than 2 weeks, time to get people physically invested, and that way it's not pay-per-view overkill either.
And on top of that, I still think they should do it. You're thinking it from a fan's perspective, aren't you? I agree with you, but me speaking from a promoter's side, no, because the problem that you've got is... Yeah. Yes, you might have a champion in it, but what happens if they're the ones who are winning that match and something happens and you need to change your... Yeah, well,
that's the thing. If you have the Royal Rumble in the last week of January and something happens before the first week of April in WrestleMania, you've got plenty of time to modify your storylines.
You do, but the thing is, I feel as though...
Also...
There has been some magical moments in between... the Royal Rumble.
No, I agree, but I'm just thinking about a way to freshen things up. And also, another way they could do it, if they really want to have a show every month.
Go on.
Don't have Royal Rumble weekend NXT TakeOver to accommodate the fact that the Royal Rumble is 2 nights, and have the NXT TakeOver in place of the February pay-per-view. So they're still presenting a show with a different load of people. You still get to watch it, you still get to enjoy it, but it doesn't impinge on the main card.
No, but then straight away, if you didn't have that sort of pay-per-view in between, then, take into account, when it's been done right, it is magical, that Elimination Chamber pay-per-view is. Because just take into account, or also known as No Escape in certain countries, the point being is if you want a good feedback of why it should be there, here's one for you. Look at when Undertaker went in to Elimination Chamber as the champion, but then didn't come out as the champion at WrestleMania.
No, I understand that
because he had the match cost by Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
How much of a big feud did that look?
Well, no, I understand what you're saying with that, but that's your argument for keeping it as it is, and that's fine. But my basic argument would be, I don't like themed pay-per-views anyway, beyond the traditional Big Four. We don't need a pay-per-view called TLC. We don't need a pay-per-view called Elimination Chamber. Make the Elimination Chamber, Money in the Bank, TLC, all those kinds of matches back how they were. Make them so that certain people can use them as feud enders, maybe once a year, maybe less. But if nobody uses them for 3 years at a time, they're more special when they do happen.
It's not just that. It's the fact of most stories, you don't go start, end. I think the fact that they got a pay-per-view in between presents a start, a middle, an end, which is fitting for any story.
Well, no, I can see why you'd say that, but no, I'm just trying to come up with creative ways that they can change things up without actually disrupting the schedule too much, because essentially all they're doing is just not doing one of the pay-per-views that they do every year. Do you not remember in the early to late 2000s when they ramped it up and ramped it up and ramped it up, and they ended up having, what was it? I think in 2007, somewhere around about then, they had 18 pay-per-views in a calendar year, and everyone just went, enough.
Yeah, I think they've been doing it okay at the moment, because at least when they've been doing the double hitter for WrestleMania, they've only been getting one bill for it. So essentially, they might be offering the fact of, if you're buying one ticket, you might be getting the second one free potentially, which could be the better idea, which could
possibly.
Which could be a bit of a selling point, because it's one of the big four. But anyway,
I'm not sure. But anyway, these are our point of views. They differ massively, but the purpose of this show is to create debate, and hopefully you'll agree or disagree with us. If you agree or disagree, The Burning Truth has lots of social media. Get in touch. We know you're good at doing that. If you've got opinions, tell us why.
Who's wrong?
Or tell us either who is right or who's wrong, why we're right or wrong, and if there's a third way that you've thought of that you think is great that neither of us have touched on, tell us what that might be.
Exactly, it's a conversation. But anyway, let's move on to the next subject.
Exactly. I think we've covered cinematic matches, but if you want to get in touch about them as well, you can. Yeah. But let's move on now.
And here's one that can affect an entire show, the topic.
Yeah.
The infamous one on near enough every post that you see on a...
one that every wrestling promotion ever worth their salt puts on their card or poster somewhere.
Yeah, pretty much. Or at the very least, in the post or on the social media, at the very least.
Yeah. And they are, in case you're wondering...
The infamous 4 words are card subject
to change.
And the reason
we
why...
didn't rehearse that.
No, we didn't. And the scary thing about it is, card subject to change is... It is a useful tool.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can understand where people might be saying, but that's just a cheap tool, so if you can't have it. Now, as much as you can turn around and say it's a cheap tool, it's a handy tool because, answer me this, how would you feel if you promised something and then at the very last second you couldn't fulfill that promise because of an external source?
Yeah, because of circumstances beyond your control, such as injuries, which do happen, or say a coronavirus pandemic springs up out of nowhere, just to use a slightly exaggerated example. You need that get out of being able to say, shit we can't control does from time to time happen. In that instance, we will provide you with a suitable alternative. But, there's no guarantee you're going to see this, but we will do our best to provide it or as close to it as we can.
Yeah. And the real scary thing about it is a lot of people sit there thinking, card subject change can be all terrible. It's all bad.
Well, yeah, because they are probably of the same age that we are. They remember the dying days of WCW when card subject to change was used as an excuse by he who shall be named simply as VFR to save your blood pressure for changing shit around for the sake of it and pissing everyone off royally. But it's not always a bad thing.
It's not. And that I know what you're thinking. Huh? How is it not a bad thing?
Yeah, you probably are. I mean, I'm not because, we're professionals. We had a pre-broadcast discussion about it when we covered the bases. But you at home are probably sat there thinking, okay, go on, tell me, how could it be a bad thing?
Well, the bad thing is the fact of it can actually bring up the fact of if something's been promised, right, and here's the negative. If you had a dream match that was about to happen, and it's literally on the day it's going to be happening. You're looking forward to it. You've paid for it, and then all of a sudden that match doesn't happen.
Circumstances beyond our control. You would obviously be massively disappointed.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd be absolutely livid.
The wrestling promoters understand this, and they will always work to do their best to provide you with, should we just call it, the next best thing. They know what you were looking forward to isn't happening, is bloody annoying. They feel the same way because it was probably going to make them a shit ton of money, which it now isn't because it's not happening. So all they can do is make use of the, epic amount of talent at their disposal and give you the next best thing.
Yeah. And the scary thing about it is, card subject to change is, it is a useful tool that can end up happening. Now, in case anybody's sitting around and saying, give me some good examples of this. And better yet, I can actually give you an example. Do you know how close right now I can go for?
Yeah, go on.
From SmackDown.
Yeah.
Now, originally,
from fairly recently?
This week's episode.
There you go, you see? Topical reasoning. Who says we don't research this shit?
And the scary thing about it is, it all started from the previous week. Now, yes, we all know the whole storyline of Roman Reigns versus Adam Pearce idea that originally happened. Now that was being advertised as the Royal Rumble. Okay, they haven't done it exactly on last minute and gone, no, we're not doing that match, on the day and dropped it there and then. No, that's not happened. They've ended up giving at least 2 weeks, but it was done in such a way where it fitted in with the storyline, where regardless of it, there was a card subject to change on it, and instead of having Adam Pearce versus Roman Reigns, which I'll be honest with you, this might sound wrong from my end, as much as we did have a minor dig at it last week. Am I the only one who's disappointed that I'm not going to see Adam Pearce have his championship match?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, absolutely not. You're not the only one who's disappointed. I think everybody was probably at the situation where it was like, bloody hell, WWE are pushing someone new, and they've literally tied a rocket to them, and it's wonderful, and we know he's probably going to lose the match, but put him in it anyway, and let's see how he does. He might not. You never know, and it's fun, and I'm looking forward to it. Even
though he has been retired for so long, but out of the match, if I have a choice of either that match or the match that they've got now scheduled, I'll be honest with you, I am looking forward more so to the match that they've got now booked in.
Well, yeah, I've got to be honest. Substitute Kevin Owens is never a disappointment. You know what I'm saying?
It isn't, especially with how well them pair have been working together, beating the living hell out of each other.
Exactly.
So there's one card subject to change. The other one, that was recent, and do you know how recent it is?
Even more recent than last week's SmackDown?
Even sooner, even more recent than that.
Good Lord, go on.
Last night, Impact Wrestling hard to kill.
Yeah. Because I was going to ask about that. They had to be grateful for the four little words on the bottom of the card for that one, didn't they? Because it was a proper case of shit, circumstances beyond our control. What can we do?
That happened. However, I'll be honest with you, Impact Wrestling did really, really well to make cover of it. But immediately, as soon as they were informed of the situation, got it out to the public as soon as possible.
Yeah, there was no surprise that as soon as they knew, they told everyone who, might have been looking forward to the match. But they were like, no, we cannot give you the match as advertised, but
due to unfortunate circumstances.
Yeah, it's a circumstance beyond our control, but we have contingencies in place. You'll still get a match, and it'll still be 99.9% as good.
Yeah, and in case if anybody wants to know which match it was the main event, which was the six-man tag, which was the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega from AEW, the AEW World Heavyweight Champion.
Yep.
Against originally meant to be Rich Swann and the Motor City Machine Guns.
Lest we forget Rich Swann, the Impact Wrestling World Champion.
Yes, and instead, unfortunately, Alex Shelley couldn't actually fit in because of, due to...
like we say, unforeseen circumstances, travel issues.
Yes. Now, you think, what are they going to do here? We can't fit anybody else in to tag in now. And I think they made a really good choice in their pick. Now, I know what you're thinking. Really? When I say the name?
You're probably all sitting there thinking, really? Okay, whatever. But, the thing is...
They picked Moose, and the scary thing about it is, I know what you're thinking, well, he doesn't like either. He doesn't like Chris Sabin, or he's got a bit of a bone to pick with Rich Swann at the moment. Because at the moment... Would you believe that Moose is declaring himself the TNA World Heavyweight Champion with the old TNA belt?
Yeah, pre the, of course, rebrand to Impact Wrestling, which occurred, what was that, 4 or 5 years ago now?
Yeah, but he's changed the leather from black to white, and it does look really nice, right? And it's so interesting the fact that potentially you got the two guys who were claiming to be top dominant in Impact, battling against someone who is calling himself the real World Heavyweight Champion.
The real world's champion. Where have I heard that before?
And if I'm not mistaken, he even described himself on the event as a god, above Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, and everybody. Not like he's having a dig at what happened recently on Raw. Anyway.
Yeah, no, but like I said, it's a perfect situation because it just so happened that in light of should anything go to shit, they've got the perfect substitute waiting in the wings. And so despite the fact they're sitting there going, bollocks, the exact thing we didn't want to happen has happened, they were able to salvage it. The card was changed, but it didn't diminish from the end product.
Now, I know exactly...
That's not always the case. Yeah. We know exactly what you're thinking, but sometimes fate moves in a fortuitous way.
In mysterious ways. And I'm about to bring up a controversial one.
Controversial only in light of what came out in the aftermath. The event itself wasn't overly controversial.
No, it's more or less what happened in the aftermath. Now, would you believe that cards subject to change ended up helping a WWE ECW match?
Yes. Would you believe that? I mean, yeah, seriously. It, in fact, ended up elevating someone who was never previously considered for that role to world champion status.
And has been does quite well usually on the independents, with the exception on WWE.
I was going to say, he's never really been anywhere near that level again since in WWE, but that helped him in the independent scene, definitely.
Definitely. In case anybody wants to know who that is, that would be John Morrison.
Yeah. Or as I believe he was known, was he still Johnny Nitro then?
No, he was Johnny Nitro when he first won it, but then immediately became John Morrison to step up his game, which he massively did.
Yes.
And the scary thing about it is that was in a match against CM Punk. Now, bearing in mind that Carl's rejected change could have changed that entire match because he wasn't even involved in that match because the original person who was meant to be in the card, he who shall not be named ever by WWE.
Yeah, the person who WWE don't name, but for context, I think we need to.
Which was none other
Chris
than
Benoit.
Chris Benoit, Chris Benoit. But the point being is,
he was gonna be in the match.
He was in the match. He was booked. He was part of the tournament.
Yeah.
And he was lined up to go against CM Punk. Now,
all WWE did was literally go, okay, he's not there. We're just gonna full on transplant someone else into that position.
Who was part of the tournament, I believe.
Yeah.
And because they just did it in certain moments where what was so interesting about this is when I saw the fact that had been changed, I instantly assumed
that they changed the result
to CM Punk.
Yeah.
No, because you think, Johnny Nitro has already lost. He's not won.
Yeah.
He's already lost his match. He's not going to beat CM Punk. And lo and behold,
yeah, WWE put faith in someone, and they delivered.
It delivered in such an interesting way.
Yeah.
I just thought it was brilliant how they did it.
I agree. Yeah, it's good. As I've hinted at, immediately post-death WCW, springing to mind, so card subject to change can be used as an excuse to royally screw the fans over, as if to say, you were expecting this, but screw you, we don't care, we're just going to do what we want. But I think we've managed to find several fundamentally positive examples of why it can be a good thing.
I'm going to give one example right now where it's bad.
Yeah, obviously we need a bit of balance, so let's have a bad one.
A bad one, and it was by WWE, which was when I believe it was meant to be rumoured to be Batista, who was World Heavyweight Champion at the time, against the Great Khali.
In that
Punjabi prison match.
Yeah.
Punjabi prison match. Now, I know you're thinking, huh? And the scary thing about it is, what was so worrying about that match is the fact that they ended up couldn't have the Great Khali debut the match that he supposedly made, and instead ended up fitting in Big Show into the match.
Yeah.
Due to, I think it was something to do with certain clearance. I'm not sure what the reason was, but it just came across as...
I simply thought that that it might have had something to do with the fact that it was a match that required the climbing of a bamboo cage, and it was just something that Khali's knees weren't capable of.
So basically, they made a match that was not suitable, even though he was being made to be the champion of it.
Yeah, it was a match designed to be stipulated for him that he could win, and then made it physically impossible for him to win it.
Oops.
Damn it.
But anyway, the point being is, it can be hit and miss, but it can also have positive sides. But
absolutely, yeah.
If you can think of some ones that you like or hated, send them to us.
Yeah, both sides of the scale. Get in touch on the Burning True social media with that as well.
Yeah,
examples when you've sat down and gone, oh, I'm really looking forward to it. Wait, what the fuck's this? Or, oh, this is going to be a clusterfuck. Oh, that was actually quite good.
Better.
That was actually quite good. I'll take that. I am happy that happened.
Yeah.
Either end of the scale is good.
Or better yet, would you like one that was quite fitting? Right now?
Yeah, go on. To round this section of the show out. Yeah, let's have one more. Go on.
Last one would be involving the first ever Women's Royal Rumble match. And this is going to lead into the epic wrestling moment as well.
Oh, yeah. This is quite cool. Because this, is it not, is the epic wrestling moment.
Section bit, yeah.
So we can kind of kill two birds with one stone with this.
Pretty much. Because
this is an example of a great card subject to change. And it's also this week's epic wrestling moment.
Pretty much. And it was a bit of a positive one. Bearing in mind that in the first ever Women's Royal Rumble, right, Becky Lynch wasn't originally scheduled to be in the Royal Rumble.
which caused mutterings of outrage from lots of people who were like, well, why not?
Because she was I believe, the Raw Women's Champion. Unfortunately, she lost that championship belt.
She lost the championship in the title match, which immediately preceded the Rumble.
Yep. No. Before it, yeah. And what was so interesting in the idea of this, she lost that match, right? So, okay, fine. But then, during one part of it, Lana ended up getting broken. And I've only just thought about this. Do you remember who broke her? You're not going to like this. Nia Jax.
Oh.
It was Nia Jax who broke
Doesn't
Lana.
life go in circles?
History repeating itself again.
Yes.
The mark of insanity. Anyway, we continue.
Well, the less said about that, the better.
Anyway, we move on. But the point being is, what was so interesting is Lana couldn't enter the match because of her ankle being hurt. But anyway, the point being is, and you got her music hit, and she's queuing to, I believe, Finlay. And
she's
Finlay
literally
just goes, have at it. She's injured. She can't get in. Take the spot.
Yeah, this is after we've seen footage of Lana limping down to the ring, and she's in the time it's taken for her entrance. She's literally got about a third of the way down the ramp.
Yeah. But then you see
a very familiar and much appreciated by everyone in attendance and watching piece of music.
Whoa. And what was so brilliant about it is, when she came out and she got the all clear, the pop from the wrestling fans.
It almost made up for the whole disappointment of a few years back in the Men's Royal Rumble, when the crowd royally shat on Rey Mysterio for the unforgivable crime of simply not being Daniel Bryan.
But bearing in mind that I believe that wasn't the only Royal Rumble epic moments of that night, which we could probably mention that one next week if necessary.
Yeah, I think we can. But yeah.
Oh no, wait.
So
no. Correction. We've already covered it. Edge.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Oh yeah, we have covered it. Yeah.
Yeah, we have covered it. But anyway, let's digress. Let's move on to our non-wrestling subject,
which is our last major subject of the week, but it's quite an important one.
No. This is the non-one. This is the one where we're going to be referencing back to Irvine's. Blog.
I'm saying it's the last topic of this week's show. It's the non-wrestling topic, but it goes back to what we said at the start regarding Mr. Irvine and this week's Burning Truth blog.
Yes, which I believe he was stating, make me into a superstar, and the fact that he even digresses what he's been doing in his spare time away from the Burning Truth and his currently busy schedule. And do you know what he's been doing?
Is it something that we've all been dabbling in to a certain extent?
Pretty much.
Yeah, it involves a social media platform on which you can find all three of us to varying degrees.
And in case if anybody wants the handles, they are actually on the blog.
Yeah, as well. Just in case I didn't mention it directly, we're talking about TikTok.
Of course.
The short video social media platform where you post stuff that is usually garbage that's in your own head, and you therefore get to use the label content creator for yourself. I mean, as Batman's well knows, we are that already because we provide you with hours of entertainment every week in the form of The Burning Truth.
Yep, pretty much.
You can't see me winking because this is an audio thing, but there you go. But yeah, all of us individually are now also on said platform.
Yes, we are.
And as Mr. Burns stated, excellent. You can find who we are and what we represent and, basically all the videos we've put up from our usernames, which are on the blog.
Yes, in case if anybody wants to know what our usernames are, mine is KSC112003, and in case if anybody wants to know why it's not Matt Burns, there's another reason why. That's more of a personal reason why that is the case. I believe for yourself, JB, yours is Johnny Blaze _08.
_08, yeah. That's an old nickname that, it's my initials anyway, as you know.
You haven't got to question, provide the reason behind it or anything like that. And I believe that Irvine's, if
I'm just trying to find it.
It is J Irvine 86.
Yes.
So yes.
And on there you will find out things that you never needed to find out, like how I am the most polite person in the world because I wanted to call out Irvine about something but didn't actually name him.
Good Lord. Oh, you mean when you were mentally scarred?
Yes. When he sent me something which was mentally scarring for life, where I drop an F-bomb into a Disney movie, and many other revelations about my life.
Pretty much. But the funny thing about it is, it's all lighter-hearted humour.
Yeah, it just gives you an insight into our lives outside of the Burning Truth. But also, we are attention whores, so follow us, please.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Irvine even pointed out people who go onto TikTok are attention whores, and he's one of the biggest ones. Not me, that's him.
Yeah, if he said that about himself, who am I to disagree? But
disagree. Yeah. Anyway, but the point being is...
Speaking as someone who suffers quite spectacularly from body dysmorphia and hates the way they look and thinks they have a ridiculously stupid face, it's kind of a step for me to actually put it out there. Never really put my own image on social media before.
I'm sorry.
But it's a way to cover that. It's a way to get over that in the best possible way.
One, I'm just going to say it's not your fault. It's not your fault at all. I'm just saying that all.
That I have a stupid face or that I have issues with it? Be careful where you tread with this, good sir.
No, I'm not saying that you've got a stupid face. The fact of... I'm not saying that. Regardless, it's not, regardless of... It's not your fault of how you think of yourself. But the thing is, far from it. Anyone... That's the best thing about TikTok. It is open to everyone and all. And saying that you're ugly is... No, that's not right. I don't agree with that, big yourself up, man. But a bit of positive mental attitude you need.
Well, yeah, that's part of trying to encompass it, isn't it? Is overcoming the fact that every time I look at the videos, which are all predominantly close-ups of my stupid face, I have to confront it. Is a way to try and lessen the impact and lessen the negative connotations that it has in my own head. So I think it's positive, really.
At least, folks, he hasn't started the actual dances yet.
Rest assured,
coming soon.
Satan will ride to work on a snowplow before that happens. However, content will be coming soon in a slightly different vein to what is currently provided.
Yeah.
But you'll have to follow me and start watching my videos to find out exactly what. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
No hint there. And no. I'll probably be doing some add-ons myself. As for whatever I'm doing, I could be doing some blind reacts. I could be doing some my own lip syncing and having general fun. And if you want to check up on Irvine with his content, he's definitely on there. And I will say some of the stuff I've seen on there for him, I've actually had me creasing in laughter.
All we can say is everything that you expect from what you hear from us on The Burning Truth, sort of magnified, exemplified, and it's to the best or worst excesses of our characters on TikTok. That's all I can say.
We're doing it for the humour.
Oh, hell yeah. None of us are taking ourselves even remotely seriously, and frankly, good. Because life's too short.
Pretty
to
much.
Be a pious arse. If you can't laugh at yourself, what's the point?
Pretty much. Anyway, for ourselves, that's going to be it for the topics for this week. I'm just going to hit the plugs, which have been reduced, and I'll explain why shortly.
Yep. Right, on you go.
All I'm just going to say is, I'm, of course, recommend you check out UKWA, because, of course, there's a bit of a self-plug there for my own wrestling company, of course, also known as UK Wrestling
Alliance.
We, of course, also recommend you check out charitable organisations like Changes for Health and Wellbeing, Changes Recovery Radio, Mind, Message for Mind, Donna Louise Hospice Care for Children and Young People, as they are great charities. We, of course, always recommend you check out the lighter side of professional wrestling, be it either Botchamania, You're Welcome Matthew, WrestleCrap.
Nice one, RD and Blade.
Yeah, and of course OSW Review, which stands for Old School Wrestling Review. You're welcome,
cheers,
OSW
guys.
Review, lads. And we always recommend you check out your local wrestling, your local wrestling promotions, be it on their social media at the moment, because at the moment there's no wrestling, but if you, check them out, be it either FCW United Wrestling, Future Shock Wrestling, Academy Pro Wrestling for You, Fallen Star Wrestling, Venom Wrestling Federation, and Orphan Pro Wrestling, and the Barracks, I believe the Barracks Wrestling Academy. In case if I have missed any, there is a wrestling app, but if you want to know more about that, there's other, you can basically find that, there's an app for it called Babyface Wrestling App. Now,
and the best part about said app is it's free.
Pretty much, and all of our associated links that we used to do, we used to do a lot of them. Where can we find them?
All of the links are now
on
hashtag
the website.
Merch link in bio. Sorry, TikTok flashback. They are all available on the website where you can see a list of the links and follow them at your leisure.
But as we always state, external links, we cannot be held responsible for external links. We have no control of them. But they're all on there, which is on the website, which the Burning Truth website is www.theburningtruthuk.com.
Don't forget, you can also, whilst on there, listen to past episodes and read the blogs, which is not just this week's, it's all the past blogs as well.
Of course, but there's also merchandise on there if you want to help supporters.
All right, hashtag merch link in bio. We got it in the end.
Why not? There we go. We've got it in.
Yes. And don't forget that range of merchandise will be expanding in the near future, just as soon as I get 5 minutes to myself to add some that's relevant to me, because you've got Matt Burns stuff, you've got Irvine stuff, but there is currently no JB stuff. That will be rectified in the near future.
Pretty much. Why not? But who knows? It can even be stuff from his TikTok videos. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know. It just might.
But anyway, the interesting thing about it is we're also on social media, be it either Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. You can listen to our current episodes, past episodes, and all the above, be it either through the website, Spreaker, Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcast. Yes, I know when I do slip up in the earlier times when I used to say Google Podcast, I did sound like Granville.
Yes,
we're also
target reference.
Of course. These and many other external sources, we are on there. But anyway, with all of that, I'm going to say let's get on to our mental health message, which is, we've always stated, it is okay to be not okay, and asking for help isn't a sign of weakness in any shape or form. Because you can end up finding out, people care for you a lot more than you can ever know. We always say, never compare your behind the scenes to other people's greatest hits.
Yep.
Of course,
we also like to ever so slightly corrupt the quote from the Frank Turner song and supporting album, which is, in a world that has decided it's going to lose its mind, be more kind, my friends. Be more kind.
Be more kind, definitely. And I've still got 2 more messages yet, which is, make yourself a priority once in a while. It's not selfish, it's necessary. And this last saying is something that somebody brought to my attention. And it's one I'm surprised I have not used myself yet.
Trust me, as am I.
Because especially from where the actual, where I associate the quote from, mostly, which is, be excellent to each other.
Absolutely.
And in case if anybody doesn't know what we are referencing, anybody know what Bill and Ted is?
We're showing our age somewhat here, but seriously, if you're of the kind of person who may have missed it the first time around due to that really minor inconvenience of not being born, check it out. You're missing out if you don't.
Don't forget there was the third movie that came out last year.
Yeah, but the less said about that, the better, to be fair.
It's not the worst.
Anyway, yep, and if all else fails, remember, folks, follow Rule 1 of Progress Wrestling.
Forget something?
1, 2, 3.
Don't be a dick. And the best thing about it is, it's not just Progress's rule book, it's also the Burning Truth.
Absolutely. It's so good, we swiped it, because we approve wholeheartedly, and frankly, it's a great way to live your life. Think about it. Are you being a dick? Then you probably don't need to do it. There you go.
Yeah. I believe that. I believe the Last Leg even. I believe the Last Leg even coins it as well on their Channel 4 show, which is you got. I believe it's is it Adam Conover?
I don't know. I'll take your word for it. I know what you're talking about, but the name escapes me. You know how I am with names.
Pretty much. In case I'm just doing a quick check for you.
That's cool. I will talk amongst myself while you just activate the well-known internet search engine. Plenty of others are available.
Pretty much.
But yeah, essentially,
my mistake. It's not Adam Conover. It's Adam Hills, who was
Adam Hills, right? Yes,
who was from Australia. Who literally turns around and says from time to time to certain people who are being arseholes, "Stop being a dick."
Yeah. It's a universal motto through which everyone can live a better and more fulfilling life.
Or just don't be a dick, basically. But anyway, the point being is, with all that, that's a wrap up for this week.
Yeah.
So next week's going to be a little bit interesting because we will have Irvine back. I originally was going to put down some of the topics that we were going to cover, but you know what? No, let's just let fate change the subject and let us decide in the upcoming weeks.
Because given the weeks we've both had, we have no idea. And don't forget, card subject to change.
Exactly. And on top of that, if there is an interesting topic you want to throw in the hat yourself, throw it to us.
Absolutely. You're using the social media already to comment on the cinematic matches and the great wrestling moments and all the other stuff that we want you to get involved with from this week. So also, if there's something you want us to cover, yeah, might as well add that as well.
Why not? You know, who knows? You know, we could also discuss some of the topics that we've been doing on our social media, be it either who's potentially going to be a winner of the Royal Rumble, why is Goldberg back? But we digress.
Who cares? I mean, sorry.
But we digress.
We digress.
We have our theories. We have our opinions. But with all that, I'm going to say, stay well, stay safe, and until the next episode, check out your local wrestling promotion, be it either social media. Of course, also get in touch with a colleague, get in touch with some family, some friends, somebody you haven't spoken to in a while. Just give a phone call. That call could end up helping out in such an amazing, glorious way. And with all of that,
I'm going to bastardize the endings of 2 separate of my favourite TV programmes. And anyone who wants to get in touch and tell me where I got them from, if they're not sure, they can find out as well. Use the social media. That's what it's for. And on that bombshell, it's time to end the show. So until next time, go away.
Pretty much, and I know exactly where they are from. But with all that, it has been emotional. I've been Matt Burns.
I've been John Bloor.
Irvine will be back next week. Until then, stay well, stay safe.
Burning Truth.
And we'll catch you later.
Ta-ta now. Bye-bye then.